23 Creepiest Abandoned Places.
There are many reasons why towns, cities, homes, and buildings get abandoned. Anything from natural disasters to fighting, to lack of funding or sheer incompetence to run a place. Today we'll take in some of these creepy and eerie buildings and places and the reasons why they were just left behind. Number 23. Nobody's home. It's unclear why this particular dwelling was left behind, but the natural decay of it leaves a rather sad and lonely image, doesn't it? Number 22. The adventure ends here. This is Gullivers Travels Park located in Kawaguchi, Japan. It opened its doors in 1997, and despite receiving a large financial boost from the government, it only lasted 10 years. Today there is very little remaining of this white elephant, but fortunately we have some incredible photographs to capture how the park slowly went to rack and ruin. The Niigata Chuo Bank had loaned the theme park $350 million, and when they went under, had to remove any financial backing that wasn't profitable. Hence, they pulled out of backing the theme park. Number 21. Riverdeep Mountain High. Creco in Italy is situated on top of a hilltop and has been there since the year 1000. Although technically it was more of an outpost than a town and took another 500 years to grow into this, the town experienced many landslides and the instability of the slope wasn't conducive to comfortable living, and it was finally abandoned in the early 1990s. Number 20. Ghost City.
This is like many other abandoned cities. They were busy and full of life when the mines were full of gold. And the moment the gold was depleted, so were the people.
The town was thriving in the 1800s, but today it's a shell. Many of the shops have false fronts, and in the 50s it was converted into a state park and has been well preserved. Number 19. A little bit of history. There are conflicting reports as to where this shot was taken, but regardless of the exact location, the graffitied walls make it look even creepier, yet beautiful at the same time. Number 18. Gone but not forgotten. You can go and visit this once massive and impressive shipyard that used to build the most incredible ships and engines. It's located on Mare Island, and no, there are no horses to be seen there. What you can see, though, are bird-filled wetlands, dry docks, old buildings, and grassy hills. It served as a shipbuilding yard from 1854 till 1996, and thereafter was slowly being converted into a parkland, housing and public service buildings. Sadly, a fire in 2012 ravaged an abandoned warehouse, and it seems the plans for the housing were halted. Today you can go and explore the entire island and head to the Mare Island Museum as well. Number 17. Nothing but memories. And they're not good ones. Ross Island in South Andaman Islands was designated by the British in 1858 to be a penal colony for prisoners from the Indian Rebellion, which took place in 1857. The stories that emerged from this island are certainly not YouTube friendly, and of the 8,000 people that were sent there, only 4,500 survived. An earthquake after 1941 caused a huge amount of damage, and the penal colony was abandoned in 1945. It's a great place for snap-happy tourists though, despite the fact that the buildings are exceptionally dangerous. Number 16. Abandoned ship. This is the wreck of the Peter Iredell, which set sail in late September of 1906. It was a 4-masted cargo ship that left Salinas in Mexico and headed to Portland, carrying around 1,000 tons of cargo. While trying to get through the mouth of the Columbia River, a massive gust of wind blew the ship onto the beach at Clatsop Spit. No one was hurt, and plans were made to get the ship back out to sea, but it never materialized, and it's been left there ever since. Number 15. King of My Castle. Bannerman Castle on Polypal Island, New York, is remarkable and was built by Francis Bannerman in 1901. His intention was to use a great portion of the castle to store artillery. In 1920, 200 pounds of ammunition went off, destroying a huge part of the castle. Number 14. What a washout. Our next stop is Villa Epicuan in Buenos Aires Province, Argentina. This used to be a tourist village and was built in the 1920s. It thrived right through until 1985 when sadly the village flooded. It was under 33 feet of water, and when the waters eventually receded, the village was left to the forces of nature. Reports state that the village was under water for 25 years. Number 13. Get well soon. If you went to Spinalonga in northeastern Crete, a former colony, getting well soon was not bound to happen. It was established in 1903 and was functioning right through till 1960. The last of the people struggling with leprosy left the island in 1957, leaving behind only haunting memories. It's easy to visit if you want to, and despite the history, is also home to lovely pebblestone beaches and shallow waters. Number 12. It's a kind of magic. If hiking is your thing, then think about adding the Stampede Trail to your must-hike list, located in Alaska, USA. This trail has a small paved section which goes on to a much more dangerous trail thereafterward. The hike takes you to the famous Magic Bus, where a man named Christopher McCandless lived for several months back in 1992. There's a book about his experience and a movie that Sean Penn made in 2007. The bus has become a bit of a pilgrimage for many, and it's not easy to reach. Don't even consider going in the summer, as it's impossible to cross the Teklenika River when it's so swollen and currents are strong. Rather go during the autumn or winter if you want to stand a chance of getting to the Magic Bus. Number 11. Monsters from the Bog. This is a creepy and unpleasant place, not because of ghosts or haunting, but because it's just plain dangerous. It's not found in many tourism brochures in Angola's growing tourism industry. It was once a thriving fishing village before the Angolan Civil War. It's completely abandoned and overrun by Mother Nature. Think one of those movies and you'll have the right idea. Towering sand dunes make access extremely tricky, and that's when you've timed the tidal movements accurately. If not, you'll be spending the night with all sorts of creatures that have no natural fear of man. Number 10. A tree cycle. There are many known instances of a tree consuming an object, chains being the common, as people often chain something to a tree and leave the chain behind. This is one of the more intriguing examples, though. A young man left his bicycle in the woods of Vashon Island, Washington, before heading off as a soldier in the Great War in 1914. Clearly there was no crime in the area at the time. Can't see the same happening today. Number 9. Blast from the Past. Bokor Hill Station, a place that would make the perfect scenery for a horror movie, is empty and void of any movement whatsoever. This small city located in Cambodia was originally built as a getaway for French colonists, where they could take a bit of a vacation and escape life and the heat as they knew it. There were hotels, buildings, villas, and even a church. During construction, 900 lives were lost, so many do believe the area to be haunted. It was first abandoned in the 1940s due to fighting that broke out in the area. It was reopened in 1962 and housed hotels and a casino, but that too was left behind in 1972 when the area was taken over by the Khmer Rouge. There are plans in place to recreate the city with a budget of $1 billion proposed, but it hasn't begun just yet. Number 8. Give Up the Ghost. Designed by John Haviland, Philadelphia's Eastern State Penitentiary is a must-see for any ghost hunter. This prison was functioning from 1829 until 1971 and held notorious prisoners such as Al Capone and Willie Sutton. It's often joked that this prison was more luxurious than the White House, as each cell had central heating, a toilet that flushed, running water, their own exercise yard, and a skylight. For this design, Haviland received $100. The creators of this prison had a vision that with the time allowed for introspection for the prisoners, it would lead the men to penitence and reformation. Number 7. Weather-related. Dhanushkoti is a few miles from Sri Lanka on Pamban Island in India, and this particular area is very susceptible to cyclones. It was a cyclone that took place in 1964 that led to people evacuating the area, where it has been left to Mother Nature ever since. Number 6. Long forgotten. Chahitan didn't always look like this. It used to be the capital of Palena Province in Los Lagos, Chile. That was until a volcanic eruption destroyed the area in 2008, the first eruption in 9,000 years. Then literally a few days after that, flooding further destroyed the already traumatized area. There was talk of rebuilding the town in 2009, but nothing has ever been done. Number 5. Doomed from the get-go. The Satsop nuclear power plant has been called a doozy, and that's because from the onset there were problems. Costs were running way over budget, and from thinking they would be spending around $4 billion on the 5 power plants, they were stuck with a bill for $24 billion, and they weren't even finished yet. Construction was put on hold, and eventually only one of the 5 was in operation. The WNP2, the coolest tower, is now home to the Satsop Business Park, and the whole area makes a great backdrop for movies, including Transformers: Age of Extinction. Number 4. Lest we forget. Originally built as coastal defense, Red Sand Sea Forts in Sealand, United Kingdom, was also known as Monsell Forts. Despite being empty and rather creepy now, there was talk converting them into luxury hotels back in 2015. It's estimated that it will cost $61 billion to do the conversion. So if this is something you'd like to attempt, we say go for it. Number 3. It's a secret. Skrunda 1 used to be a secret city built for Soviet scientists. At one stage, there were roughly 5,000 people living there, as nobody knew they were there. They had a radar station, plus all the regular amenities any normal city would have. This isn't the only secret city out there, and it's only a matter of time before we discover more. Number 2. Home is where the heart is. And the heart and soul have left this lonely home. Seeing these empty, neglected homes is enough to get your imagination running wild, with loads of questions. Who lived there? Why did they leave? Is it haunted? We'll let you come up with your own answers. Number 1. Going for gold. Here's another town that also became a bustling place thanks to the gold rush in the early 20th century. Rhyolite is located northwest of Las Vegas, and it had so much going for it back in the day. There was piped water, electric lines, and even railroad transportation, and by 1907 had even more amenities, which included telephones, electric lights, a hospital, school, newspapers, stock exchange, and an opera house. By 1911, things started dwindling, and there were only about 1,000 people still staying there. By 1920, the town was empty. It has been said that Cook Bank, despite the fact that it has no roof and large pieces of the wall are missing, still houses a safe. Have you ever visited any of these places? If so, share your experience with us in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more daily videos. Thanks for watching.